Hey guys, welcome to how to solve logarithmic equations. So in the last video we solved how to solve exponential equations. So now we're going to switch and do the inverse and how to solve log equations. So the process is kind of similar, except for we want to either isolate or combine the log terms or ln terms first. Use all of our properties of logs that we know, combine them into one log first. And then we're going to exponentiate both sides of the equation depending on what the base of the logarithm is. So if we're in the ln situation, like here in example 1 and example 4 we will be, then we'll exponentiate the equation with e. Otherwise, like in this example here, we're using log base 10, so we'll take everything, we'll exponentiate everything with base 10. Down here, our log base is 2, so we'll exponentiate everything with base 2. And then the last step, solve for the given variable, and kind of the sneaky step that I have in here is make sure that what you get is okay. Check it against the domain of log and ln. We'll see some examples of that though. So here we go. Example 1. ln of x minus 1 equals 2. The ln is already by itself. There's no other logs or anything here. So the base of ln is base e. So we're going to exponentiate both sides, and this is what this looks like. We're going to put the e as the base down here. E and ln, we think of these as their inverse. They kind of undo. So the x minus 1 is going to pop out. E squared is going to be on the right. Add 1 to both sides. X equals e squared plus 1. And e squared plus 1, e squared plus 1 is going to be 8.39. 8.39, that's with some heavy rounding. Okay, so that's what exponentiating looks like in a simple case. Let's of course now complicate things up a bit. Now I have two logs. Notice these are both log base 10. So the first thing I need to do is combine these into one. Well, according to product rule, if I have the sum of two logs, I can combine these into their product. X plus 1, x minus 1 equals 0, so just like that. Okay, now I'm going to exponentiate both sides. This is log base 10, so I'm going to use base 10 on both sides here. This x plus 1, x minus 1 is going to drop out because these two guys are going to inverse each other. Equals now 10 to the 0th power is 1. Okay, so let's multiply this out. This is a difference of squares, so that's x squared minus 1 equals 1. Subtract another 1, x squared minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. Now take the square roots. X squared equals 2, so then we need to take the square root of both sides, and we're going to take the plus minus version of this square root, and then we're going to kind of see where we end up with. So x is going to equal to positive square root of 2 and negative square root of 2. However, notice that the domain of log is all numbers such that they're greater than 0. So we can't plug in a negative number to log, which means we can't plug in negative square root of 2 here because we'll get something undefined. Now, can we plug in square root of 2 here? Well, square root of 2 is approximately like 1.4-ish. So can we plug it into here? Well, this would also create a negative here, so we can't plug it in here either. So this is actually going to be a no solution. Now again, why is this no solution? Because we can't plug in negative root 2 here, because if we plug it in negative root 2, we can't, it violates the domain of log, so that's bad. We can't plug that in there. And we can't plug in positive root 2 here because positive root 2 minus 3 will again give us a negative number. So this thing just doesn't have a solution. So this is a no solution problem. So next, let's revisit an ln problem. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to combine. So we're going to subtract this ln of x plus 3. We're going to have 1 on the right. Okay, now we're subtracting ln, so this is going to turn into division. So 2x on top, x plus 3 on bottom. This is by quotient rule. And then we're going to exponentiate both sides. ln is just log base e, so we're going to use e on both sides. That's how we undo the ln, so to say. So we'll get 2x over x plus 3 on the left, and e to the first power on the right, which is better just known as e. Now we have a rational to solve, so we're going to first start off by multiplying both sides by x plus 3 to get that denominator out of here. So those guys cancel, so we'll just get 2x on the left. Let's distribute, so we'll get e times x. Remember, e is just a number, it's approximately 2.7, plus 3 times e. Again, this is just a number, okay, so e is not another variable. Subtract e to the x on both sides, or sorry, e times x, not e to the x, equals 3e. This looks really messy, but it's not going to be that bad. Alright, 2x minus e to the x, so what is 2 minus e? Negative 0.71x. 3 times e is approximately, just to make the e's go away, 8.15. That would be a good round. Alright, let's divide both sides now by negative 0.71, divide by negative 0.71. So now we get x equals 8.15 divided by negative 0.71 will give us negative 11.48. Okay, so let's test it. This is a negative number, so this already makes me kind of nervous, which it should also make you nervous. So a negative number, so 2 times a negative, this will also be negative. We can't take ln of a negative number, so that's not going to work. Same thing here, this will also be negative, but even though, just because it violates 1, that's good enough. Okay, so this also can't work. So this, again, we have no solution. So this is why it's so important to check your answers, because the domain of ln and the domain of log is really touchy. It's greater than 0. So whatever is in your argument must be greater than 0. If it's not, then you've got to throw your answer out. We just can't use it. So I hope you guys learned something from that video. If you guys have any questions, please just ask. The main takeaway of this video is use your properties of log and ln to combine your logs or ln into one single term. Use the base to exponentiate both sides. Use all the tools that you know about algebra to solve for x. And then you have to test your answers. Okay? Remember, you cannot plug a negative into log or ln. Alright guys, see you in the next video.